And so if we start to look at how our consumer choices and our Western cultural preferences dictate events, we can trace this back to iconic species on the roof of the world. Lastly, Bhutan. Bhutan, a nation that the UN participates and works with. Bhutan, a nation that is the size of going from here to the Canadian border, that goes from 900 feet to almost 24,000 feet. A nation that Provost Brown and Dean Birchfield and Dan Fletcher signed a cooperative agreement based in part because of the hard work that Scott Mills did when he was over there. And they have a national mammal. It's called the takin. Fifth question, I lied. What is our national mammal? We don't have one, but one is coming. Okay, their national mammal is takin. We put together a program to help as part of our joint MOU to get into the study area. It's a 5-day hike. One goes over 17,000 foot passes. One goes through high elevation rainforests. One finds takin. One works with Bhutanese graduate students. This person in the middle, Sewang Wangchuk, is a PhD student of Scott Mills, not working on takin, working on snow leopards, using non-invasive techniques. Goals of this project: understand population dynamics, migration, capacity building. So, I started with John J. Craighead talking about Muddy Boots, talking about the areas that he works, talking about some of the lessons I've been able to take home. When we think about the future, and I always tell my students, don't read because people in the audience can read. But I want to make a couple of points clear, is that to protect our environment, as Jack Ford Thomas said, it's not immediate, it takes steps, it takes time, it takes training. But principles of conservation are in need of policy support. We know that. And to use the science, we have to have an educated public. And that's why we love our program here. Now, these words are actually quotes, and they're not mine. These are words that John J. Craighead scripted in 1995. So I say thank you, guys. Thanks for coming.
I think it's probably now crystal clear why it's private philanthropy is so important for a university to bring in people like this. I also wanted you to meet a couple of our students. So, program here. The first undergraduate student that I will bring up is Nora Carlson. Nora has been working quite a bit with Eric Green, one of our faculty members. Talk about experiential learning. She's going to tell you a little bit about what she's done with kiwis in New Zealand. Nora. Raise them up a little bit, Scott. Mentoring, that's called mentoring.
So my name is Nora Carlson, as you heard, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I decided to come to this wildlife biology program, what I love about it, and some of the opportunities that I've had here. So my path to this program is rather circuitous, as I'm sure you can already guess. I've always been interested in communication, and my first degree was in modern languages and literature. At Kenyon College, I studied Japanese and Chinese and linguistics. After I graduated, I spent a year in Japan teaching, but I found myself truly missing science, as that was what I actually originally started college with. And so I decided to come back to the States and pursue a career in wildlife biology. But before jumping directly back into school, I decided that it was probably prudent to get some field research and make sure that this is really what I wanted. Back in school and paying all the money. And so I looked around and found a program called Beam Reach, which conducted field studies on killer whales. And they did this using sound. It was there that I truly found my passion, which is animal communication and bioacoustics. So after confirming that I did, in fact, adore field research, I decided to find the best wildlife biology program with the most hands-on experience I could. So after doing some research, I decided on my top 5 choices and called the heads of the wildlife departments at all of these schools with a list of questions. When I called the University of Montana, I spoke to Dr. Lisa Eby, and she by far stood out of all of the other heads as the most enthusiastic, excited, and confident about her wildlife biology program. She stressed that the department was not only bursting with exceptional and down-to-earth professors, but that there were a multitude of both hands-on and research opportunities here. And I think that it is incredibly telling that as a very busy program director, she took 2 hours to talk to a potential undergraduate student. So after that, I decided to make a trip to the University of Montana to sit in on some of these classes and see how I felt about it. That sealed the deal. I decided this was definitely the program for me. So my decision made, the next fall, I started my first semester at the University of Montana, and I continue to be amazed and thrilled at every turn. The professors are in fact superb. In every class I've had, I find my professors to be fairly bursting with excitement and sheer joy at the topics they teach, making each class an exciting adventure. Okay. They're all very approachable, and I've had many lengthy discussions with most of them. I usually go in to ask one quick question, and an hour and a half later, I leave knowing amazing amounts about topics like biomimicry and alarm calling. Dr. Lisa Eby was right about the fantastic opportunities for undergrads to participate in research. I met Dr. Eric Green, an expert in bioacoustics and animal communication, and he welcomed me into his lab. Being a part of his lab has opened many doors for me, and I was introduced to one of my most amazing opportunities that I've had here, funding and a place in a natural sound recording workshop through Cornell University's Lab of Ornithology. I spent a fantastic week in the Sierra Nevada mountains and was taught by some of the foremost experts in the world about recording and sound analyzing. I learned more in that week about sound recording and sound analysis than I can still believe. And not only did this opportunity give me valuable skills, but I got to meet some amazingly phenomenal people and had a lot of fun. Since then, I've been able to put the skills I acquired to work. I've been helping Eric and his new PhD student, Alexis Billings, in some of their more recent research projects. I have been involved in all aspects of the research on alarm calls, from playback experiments to recording to sound analysis. Most excitingly, I've been encouraged to do my own research project, which is my honors thesis. My project examines how red-breasted nuthatches communicate to each other about different types of predators. Yes, we have a lot of fun while we're working. This is new and cutting-edge research. This is something that I think very, very few undergraduates get to actually participate in. In fact, I have already had an opportunity to present some of my research at a conference. Because of the exceptional training I have had, last summer I was invited by 2 professors to do work with them in New Zealand. During my time there, I got to help with bioacoustical research on 2 highly endangered birds. The first one being kiwi. So this is a brown kiwi, and it's a male, and his name is Gotham. And since I do recording, I thought that I would share with you some of the sounds that I got to record. So male kiwi and female kiwi sound very different, And you can always tell a male kiwi because their beaks are about 1.5 times the length of their heads instead of the 2.5 times the length of their heads that the females are. The males are also smaller than the females. And the males sound like this. Okay, now you all know what the male sounds like. This is what the female sounds like.
This is why you're engaged.
Very annoying, wake you up in the middle of the night with that snare. Exactly. Yeah, I was like talking to Luby. I was wondering like who's off in the woods desperately trying to. So I got to work with kiwis. The other bird I got to work with is the New Zealand bellbird. This is a very, very amusing bird. At least I think it's very amusing. I got to do some recordings in the theater, and you know, like you see all these movies about dance battles and like, you know, people are battling out. Well, these guys song battle. So you'll see them and they'll fluff up the front part of their feathers and poof up and get all mad and like, it's hilarious. Anyway, so I thought I would also play some bellbird for you. There's one other bird in this recording that kind of goes, you can't hear that at all. It's like ding, 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 ding. And that's New Zealand robin, which is another endangered species, as most New Zealand bird species are. Anyways, and the other birds that you can hear in this are all bellbirds, which I can't even begin to imitate. Those are the two birds that I got to work with. I love sound. So in addition to helping with the research in New